name is Hildebrandt. I'm a Digital Transformation Implementation Specialist with the Chief Digital Office of UNDP. And until recently, I was also the Digital Transformation Specialist for Small Island Developing States, based in Barbados and supporting the Eastern Caribbean, including Antigua and Barbuda. And we're here today to really talk about the importance of digital transformation and the potential impact it can have as an accelerator and an enabler of the Sustainable Development Goals. We've all seen how digital is transforming our society, maybe especially since the pandemic. I mean, before that, everybody was online, but when the pandemic hit, everything had to go to remote work, remote school, remote government. And that meant that we all had to adapt very quickly. And the United Nations helped governments to adapt from start to finish, whether it was supporting the education environment, supporting businesses, but governments themselves also need to adapt to the change. The rate of change is quick. Technology developments also disrupting our worlds at a rate that none of us can really keep up with. So the UN systems come together with governments to try to develop policies and plans for how we're going to tackle this future and ensure that we can use these technologies for the best of all humankind, to drive development, to drive progress on education, on health, but also how to keep ourselves safe in this new environment. And so we're here working with governments to try to assess the risks and assess the opportunities and drive action to take advantage of the opportunities. In Antigua and Barbuda, we recently launched a digital readiness assessment. This digital readiness assessment is working with the government of Antigua and Barbuda to understand where the country currently stands with respect to the digital connectivity and infrastructure, digital regulatory environment. Do we have the right laws that are needed to advance digital in the country? Also looking at the people in the country. Does the country have the skills and the education needed to fully grasp the digital transformation? And what about the business climate? Are companies interested in new technologies? Are they adapting new technologies? What do they need to take on these new technologies? What's holding them back? Perhaps it's the regulatory environment. And then we also look at how the government's doing, both respect to the planning and strategy making for the digital transformation. You know, not just necessarily in a central way. We're not just talking about the ICT ministry, for instance, but we also need all of government to understand and to think about how to integrate digital technologies more effectively into their work. And so we're working on assessing that government enabling environment, and then also looking at how the government's doing itself with respect to its own online government services. Really, we're hoping to support government to do government better, so that everything the government does can be more efficient, but also really more evidence-driven. As we implement different systems within the government, we ensure that there's an opportunity to capture data from each of those services. And so we can see what's working, what's not working, how to do things better. We kicked off a session in late June with a collection of stakeholders who were selected from different ministries, from the private sector, and also from civil society to give their views on how the digital transformation is going in Antigua and Barbuda, with questions across all these different areas. So the UNDP is currently working on a report on the basis of some of those views, and also coupled with the existing data that we can get from other sources. In addition to this, it's important for the government of Antigua and Barbuda to also tap into the public, understand what the public thinks are the opportunities, what the fears are. So we really want to hear from you. It's one thing for people who are within this close group of stakeholders to share their views, but really before the government acts and drives action on the digital transformation, it's important to understand what the people think and to feed that information into the developing plans and strategies so that the future of digital in Antigua and Barbuda really belongs to everyone.